The Price of Free Thought, a Voltaire perspective on speech, truth, and power. Ah, so you've stumbled upon this quote, one of the most famous attributed to me, Voltaire. I do not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. Let's get something clear from the start. I never actually said this. It was a summation of my beliefs written by a biographer, Evelyn Beatrice Hall, in 1906. But does that matter? Not in the slightest, because this idea, this fiery defense of free speech, is exactly the kind of thing I spent my life fighting for. You see, I lived in a time when words could get you imprisoned, exiled, or executed. The 18th century was no playground for free thinkers. Criticizing the king, a crime, questioning the church, heresy, and yet I did both, relentlessly. I was thrown in the Bastille, forced to flee my homeland, had my books burned, all because I dared to think. So why did I do it? Because truth is more dangerous than a sword, and words, oh, words are the weapons of revolution. Why free speech mattered to me, and why it still matters today. In my time, those who controlled the narrative controlled the world. Kings, popes, and aristocrats decided what truth was, and anyone who dared challenge them was silenced. They claimed to be righteous, but their greatest fear was an informed public. Now look around you. Has anything changed? Today it is not a king or a priest who dictates what is acceptable to say, but a new elite, corporations, media empires, and digital overlords. They decide which voices are amplified and which are erased. They tell you what is misinformation and what is approved thought. You might not be thrown into a dungeon for speaking out today, but you can be deplatformed, blacklisted, cancelled, shadow banned. Tell me, does this not sound eerily familiar? The new Bastille, information control in the digital age. The internet was supposed to be the great equalizer, a place where ideas could flow freely, but instead it has become a new kind of prison. Algorithms decide what you see. Fact-checkers determine what is true. Speech is policed, narratives are crafted, and dissent is punished. And just like in my time, those in power justify their censorship by claiming to protect the people. They say they are fighting disinformation, but who gave them the right to define truth? You must ask yourself, if an idea is false, why not allow it to be debated and disproven? Why fear speech if truth is on your side? Ah, but that is precisely the issue. They do not fear lies, they fear truth. What advice would I give to you? If I were alive today, I would not sit silently as history repeats itself. I would tell you, question everything. If someone tells you a subject is off limits, demand to know why. No idea should be immune to scrutiny. Defend speech, even speech you despise. Free speech is not for those you agree with, it is for those you don't. Because the day you allow one voice to be silenced is the day your own voice is at risk. Do not mistake conformity for morality. Just because a belief is widely accepted does not mean it is right. The masses have been wrong many times before. Remember, tyranny always starts with silencing dissent. No great oppression in history began with brute force. It began with censoring inconvenient truths. If you think, well, I have nothing to hide, so I have nothing to fear, you are already enslaved. The war on information, what you must do now. You are living in an age of information warfare, and in this war knowledge is both the weapon and the battlefield. You must fight for truth, even when it is uncomfortable. I fought with books, letters, satire. You fight with the internet, with social media, with independent journalism. But the battle is the same. It is a battle for free thought, for the right to challenge power, for the right to seek truth without fear. If you do nothing, history will repeat itself. The voices of today that they silence will become the martyrs of tomorrow, and one day your children will read about how freedom was lost, not in one great war, but in a slow erosion of speech, thought, and dissent. My final words to you. You are not just a passive observer in this battle. You are a soldier in the war for truth. Will you stand silently as voices are erased, or will you stand and say, I do not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. The fight is not over. It never will be. Now the question is, which side will you stand on? Follow information-warfare.com, because free speech is the foundation of free society, and without it you are nothing but a subject under another ruler's thumb.